Welcome back to Small Caps, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kerry Stevenson, and today I have asked JP Vargas de la Vega. He is the managing director and founder of Galan Lithium. ASX code is GLN. They've come out today with a fantastic announcement. It's an increase in their mineral resource estimate, and I'm not going to take away all of his thunder. He's very excited. Back in the day, I think it was about 4 years ago, JP, you gave up your job and said, you know what? Lithium is a project. I'm going to take this project forward. Well, you have come about leaps and bounds. It is in a very exciting time. We'll get into all of that. But first up, because you and I haven't spoken for, goodness me, it is just over a year. Let's not let that happen again. Just give us a brief overview on who are Galan Lithium, and then we'll get into today's announcement.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks, Kerry, for the intro, and I'm pleased to be here after 5 years, actually, since I quit my job and I started this dream that today is called Galan Lithium. And the company has two projects at the Hombre Muerto Salt Flat. The idea was trying to search for lithium in a very good prospective area of Hombre Muerto. In my view, Hombre Muerto it is the best salt flat in Argentina. So today is the House of Livent, Bosco, and Allchem Sal de Vida. And yeah, today's announcement goes way beyond any expectation that I had. If you would have told me this when I started, I was going to go get out of here. I honestly didn't think that. But nature this time, and thankfully, has given us a gift. I've been in many explorations before. There was a lot of tears in the end. And but this is something that is fantastic. It's great, stunning. Any significant, beautiful adjective you want to put it onto it is how I feel in a way, because I could not make the geometry of what it could be of what we've seen at Hombre Muerto, and yet the drilling has confirmed all of this. We've been drilling through a lot of sand plus sand plus sand. The whole stability for the drillers was a nightmare, but for us it was great. Sand makes a difference in our case, as why we have so much lithium today. So it's a gift from the gods, if you want to call it. And yeah, very pleased. I'm very pleased of where it's taking us. So our resource is just 300,000 tons smaller than our neighbors at Sal de Vida or for Allchem. So it's great, brilliant.
Well, it is brilliant, but a couple of questions before we get into today's announcement. You said sand makes a difference. Why does sand make a difference?
Because in our system, when you drill, you usually, if you are right in the guts of the salt flat, you got salt, a very porous salt at the top. But as you go in deep, this salt gets compact, and after 100 meters, you got a solid block of salt.
Okay.
So that's what everyone that goes into the salt flat to look at the top part of the salt flat. Now, because we are on the edge of the salt flat in a very erosive area, that's why we have alluvial fans. The erosion gives you a lot of sand, so it traps the salt flat on that corner with hundreds and hundreds of meters with sand. So the shoreline that you see has grown from day one on the edge of the salt flat, and it keep growing. So the salt flat got filled with salt, and we fill up with sand. And the area that we are is a sponge. In other words, it's that allows a lot of lithium to be stored there. So it's something completely off the books, off the scales, and a very different understanding. And in all honesty, I think that we still haven't got through everything the way that we need to understand it, because some of the drill holes are still open at depth. So there's still a bit more to think about how we're going to go in a few things. So give time to time, and we'll come up with something. But at worst case scenario, 5.8 million tons as it stands, whether it is the grade and no cut off. No cut off means that you put everything on the blender and you mix all your brines, whatever layer you may have, and that's the grade. So we don't have to select what brines we need to process or not because of the grade. We don't have a grade issue, which is Um, we not only have a large resource, we not only have good porosity, we all as well we have high grade all along, and the average high grade when you chuck everything into the blender remains at 866 milligrams per liter, which is probably the highest grade project in Argentina, I will dare to say. So it is. What else could I ask for? It's been brilliant.
Well, I want to go back 5 years before we go forward a couple of years, if you like. Going back 5 years, why did you look at this and say that's the project for me? Because I'm sure you looked at lots of other projects, and this, as you said earlier, this is almost like the gift that keeps on giving. But what is it? Just sheer blind luck, or I mean, clearly it's not. But why this project?
Why? Because in my view, Hombre Muerto was always the best salt flat in Argentina. And if I was going to give it a go at the time where, this is 2017, in the middle of another lithium boom and trying to get an asset that you could do something, the prices were too high.
Right.
This was completely overlooked. I started Galan with around less than $20,000 and had a massive conviction to make it happen. So I didn't have the dollars to go and hunt for a project. I went to have, you have to be creative in this exploration business. And I thought that we had a chance. Now, 6.5 million tons as an inventory today, definitely not. I was thinking that we could get anywhere between 1 and 2, if you ask me initially, maybe 3 as an upper case. And that would have been my wild dream when I started this. But everything was 1 to 2. And that was it. Now the whole thing's turned around. The hunch that we had was correct, but this porosity, it was not on the books.
So talk to us about how you've got to where you are today. In other words, the milestones, because I know that you're very well funded. You just said you started the company with $20,000. Goodness gracious. But talk us through the milestones and how you've got to today, not just 1 to 2 million tons, but 5.8 and growing.
We started the company, the initial company was called Blue Sky Lithium. That was the founding company. I started with less than that money and a lot of my time. I wasn't paid for doing this. The milestone was to get all tenements under contract on the Blue Sky. Then privately I raised $400,000 once I had the contracts, so I could pay for the option agreements for these, the option for these tenements. Then we were hunting for shells, and we merged with the ones that we liked. That was called Dempsey Minerals at the time, and when we merged, we raised $2 million to start doing work, and then later on we raised 4. Start forgetting how, and I think that down the track we raised another 3 in a really bad time. Sorry, between COVID, we scrapped some $500,000 here, $500,000 there, then 3 or 5, and then 10, and then last year, a year ago, when things turned around, we raised 50.
Yeah.
So, but all of that it's been on the back of our development success and proving up this. We have our maiden resource in 2019 for Candelas. Unfortunately, it was a really bad timing when we did it. The market crashed. And then we did our resource update with Hombre Muerto West in March or in early Q1 2020. And then guess what? COVID came in.
Of course.
So it was a tough year to start. Even we started with, we knew that we need to push this forward. So we did a scoping study in 2020. We put that out at the end of 2020, and then that started changing because the market started changing and the market started putting attention to where we at, and then we start growing. All of 2021 was about studies and doing tests and more testing. All of these are a bit hard to do in the middle of COVID, just to take brine to Chile, 20 cubic meters. It was a bit of an epic. We did it to get more studies and trial and tests and start getting people back on site. That was a challenge. And then throughout 2020, getting our camp set up, getting drillers to do the campaign that we actually continue to drill. It's been a bit of an epic all throughout 2022. The good things that we had the money to do. Our cash position on the last quarter was $54 million. So we still have cash to keep doing more work, drilling and studies. We're doing a DFS that we finalizing that in Q1 next year, as per our announcement. So we're funded. It's been a hard work, but I wouldn't change for anything else, Kerry. This is great.
It's wonderful to see you get, but it is one of the things people don't see is all the hard work behind the scenes. You've got 2 projects over in Argentina, which we'll go into in a minute, but you did mention COVID, and I'm wondering, you've got a project in WA, very close to Greenbushes. Was COVID the reason to pick up that project, or did you have your eyes on that one before?
I had the eyes on that one before, and the opportunity to present the conversations that were established, and I wanted to give it a go. I think the area is very prospective. It's a bit slower than what I'd like to think, but the prospectivity doesn't change. And because we are here in WA, we're based in WA, Greenbushes can be served from Perth. So if we would have been based in Sydney, let's say, it would have been difficult to try to man something this far. We can drive to Greenbushes South. So for that reason, yeah, we say, well, it's doable, manageable, low entry price for us. We can do more work, and that's it. So
okay, so can we just wrap a bow, if you like, around Greenbushes South, because I want to cover that, because I really want to focus a little bit more on Argentina. But Greenbushes South, what are you doing there? Where's the value in that, and what's happening?
Well, we are pretty much 3K south from the pit of the biggest lithium spodumene mine with the highest grade in the world. Neurology 2.0, if you want to call it. So if you work in Argentina, you may work here as well, so why not? And so because of the address, it's worth giving it a go. Absolutely. What have we done? We've done soil sampling, and we've done airborne geophysics. We have mapped. We found some pegmatites at surface. We need to do more work. We need to do more geophysics and decant, the thinking on this, because searching for pegmatites is not that easy. Otherwise, everybody would have found it. Well, look, give us a bit more time. We're not dependent on Greenbushes, which is a good thing. We got time to mature the project and explore it better before drilling it. And I would like to think that sometime next year we will be able to enter the property and drill it, but one step at a time.
Yeah, one step at a time. Final question before we go to Argentina. You have 80% ownership of Greenbushes South, is that correct? Who's the 20%?
That's correct. 20% is Galan, and 20% is Lithium Australia, correct?
Okay, Lithium Australia. All righty, let's get back across to Argentina. I know that this is the big news for today. I think it was 158% increase in the resource. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've gone from 2.8 million tons, no, 2.3 million tons, better said, lithium carbonate equivalent, to 5.8 million tons. So it still doesn't sink 100%, but yeah, it's we're the same size Sal de Vida, and that's why I'm pinching myself. Our inventory is large. Compare that to LTR, Liontown, our resource is larger than them's now. So it's I'm getting my head, what we have, and importantly, we have high grade, low impurities.
Yeah,
it's not just a lot of lithium; it's just high quality lithium. So, it's the best cut of. If this was a cut, it will be the best cut you can find.
Yeah, and people are looking. I mean, it will attract a premium because of that. And speaking of that, people are also looking for that ESG. I know that everyone's talking about it. How are you covering that? Because the environmental footprint, people will be looking at that. What is Galan doing about that?
Well, we have engaged last year, probably more than a year ago. We engaged with Circular. Circular is a company that specializes in doing ESG carbon and carbon footprint calculations for your traceability. So we want to be able to trace our carbon footprint all the way to a producer. So I think that the road starts with the producer, and that'll be us. And we are working through our DFS with Circular to feed our inputs so they can have a clear understanding on our carbon footprint in the traceability that the project will have once we come into production. We are very aware also that we are making a difference in the local community, and that for us is very important to do so. In our north has been pretty much health and education. We've been donating to the local hospital in the area and Antofagasta de la Sierra. We've been helping the local schools when we can as well. We've been trying to make little differences, fill the gaps, and also hiring local people, training local people, make sure that we have also a high participation of females in our camps. And not just to be the cleaners, because that's something that usually gets done. No, we're trying to get the young ladies and the young girls as well, that they've got the initiative to train them, with the inventories, managing camps, and so on. So we like to grow with them, and we like to make a difference. And for us to have our social license is as important as being able to demonstrate that the rest of the world that our lithium is traceable and it has a low carbon footprint. Importantly, we want to make a difference at the local community where we work and where I can see, just giving jobs to people and the responsibility that it has. I can see that firsthand. And it's very important to see that there was, in some cases, not much, to being able to take people on a journey and provide them with jobs in an environment where Argentina's got a high unemployment. The good thing is mining in general is changing the face of northern Argentina, because there are more jobs in lithium. It's not just us, but it's very refreshing seeing that we can make be part of that force exchange in northern Argentina.
Yeah, talk to us about Argentina as a jurisdiction. Is the government very supportive of what you do? Because some people get a bit nervous. Some people say, "Oh, Australia's great; it's easy. We a good jurisdiction to work in," and then they're unsure of Argentina. What's been your experience over there? How supportive are they?
Well, I'll start where we are. We are the province of Catamarca, and Catamarca is very pro mining, pro lithium actually. We've seen that all through the northwest of Argentina, Salta, Jujuy as well. There are good jurisdictions where you can invest in lithium. And there are other areas that they're not that, they don't know mining, and they're not that in favor of mining. And you may have a bit of an opposition. But I guess the same goes if I go with a mining permit in Bondi where you are and want to drill, probably it's not going to happen. So, you need to be a bit careful as where you want to go and explore, and be aware of the environment and what people know. No one wants drilling in the backyard. Luckily, we are in a remote area and we can do exploration and advance our project. Now, the neighborhood that we are, I always mention that we are a baby elephant in an elephant country. Probably today I can say that we are not the elephant. We've been welcomed to the elephant family because of the size of our resource. But our neighbors, our other elephants, are Allkem, Bosco, and Livent. And Livent's been there for 30 years, produced lithium carbonate since I started. The memory lane, the Sony Handicap, the lithium batteries, that lithium was not Australian, was not from Chile, was from Hombre Muerto, directly from our neighbors. So. Wow. Okay. Because those were Panasonic batteries. So, look, it's a lot of things going back in circles in a way. But there's the Argentina and Hombre Muerto is special. It has a good understanding of what the sulfate is and the production that it can yield and the chemistry and so on. And it's not coincidence that we got, as I mentioned, elephant in this area. It is because of the endowment. It is because of high-grade low impurities. You cannot replicate that, and it's a gift from nature that we have been able to find a lot of it. And and we're going to be the next lithium producer in the upcoming years. And we'd like to think that in less than 3 years we can start being a producer. So that's our aim now. We demonstrate that we have it. We need to demonstrate that we economically can do it. Hard not to with the current prices, but and there's a high demand for lithium in the big context of things. And we believe that the lithium battery revolution to take in combustion engines from the roads and replace them with electric cars is happening, and the transition for the next 10, 15, 20 years, it will happen anyway. So
yeah, because
that's what we do.
Yeah. A lot of those projects around you, that lithium supply is already taken up. And so bringing new lithium supply is, I mean, the demand is already there. But what I want to know is, as we sit here talking at the end of October 2022, you're saying you'll get into production 2025. You've got 54 million in the bank. It's a fairly remote area. What are you doing right now? You've got a pilot plant underway. Where are you going to get your power? Where are you going to get your water from?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do have enough to finalize our study, and we already started our pilot plant, and we're moving forward with concentration at the pilot plant. Our concentration yields in Chile show that we could get to 6% concentration in lithium metal, not to confuse with lithium oxide that you get in Australia, because a lot of people get confused because it's 6%. If this was lithium oxide, our concentrate will be super high grade. It will be 14% plus lithium oxide. So we are demonstrating, and we are going to be showing results as we're advancing later this year and next year when we finalize our study, that we can concentrate our lithium to 6%. We have a predictive model that so far has been ticking boxes all along. So for us is, yes, we have $54 million in the bank. We can complete our study, and that's we have more than enough to finalize the study at Hombre Muerto West. With the drilling, with finalization of the pilot plant, we built the pilot plant in March this year. We've been evaporating since. We have a predictive model that has been ticking boxes in the concentration. We did that in Chile, and we are carrying on doing this in Argentina. We want to demonstrate that we can produce high-grade concentrate in the market to, as I was alluding early on, the equivalency of 14% plus lithium oxide, that it's a high premium product. This is 33%. In other words, it's 33% lithium carbonate equivalent. So it is high-grade technical concentrate. It would be a feedstock to other producing assets in Argentina. How are we going to monetize that? We got debt, we got equity, we got prepayment. We haven't signed any offtake. We are 100% Galan. So we have the avenue to get this right. And also, yes, the market's a bit iffy about production, but we also may come up with a stage plan that will allow us to reduce our capital requirement once again and increase our certainty going forward in our production. So if you look at the universe of Argentina, there are around 10 projects that are going to come online in the next 3-5 years.
Okay.
To the south of us, we got Sinjin, that was the old 3Q, or it's still 3Q, that was purchased from Neometals. We got Posco, Livent, we've got Allkem. Further north, we got Eramet with the Chinese JV that doing DLE, but if that doesn't work, they'll have a lithium carbonate at the back of it. Further north, you go to Lithium Americas, that is starting production and ramping up now. You got the neighbors, which is Olaroz, the old plant of Allkem, ex-Orocobre. We got the expansion on that. Plus, you can think of Ganfeng having its own project called Mariana in Salta. And then you got Rio Tinto that just purchased Rincon. And lastly, you got Argosy that want to go from 2,000 tons to 12,000 tons. So all of these companies may need some feed, our feed down the track. So we are very confident that we'll be able to place our feedstock, high-grade feedstock, into any of these plants. And importantly, we'll be able to get this production at the time where it will be needed the most. This cash flow also will help us to mature the project that it has a second leg down the track. Not because we're producing lithium chloride concentrate, technical grade, applying the same principle as Pilbara Minerals. Pilbara Minerals produce concentrate and sell it. And that's what we want to get to cash flow as well, using the same principle. It does not mean that we cannot add further value by putting our carbonate plant, hydroxide plant, or lithium metal that could be used for solid-state batteries down the track. But all what we need is the cash flow, and we need more time to mature this.
Sorry to interrupt you, JP. Are you saying that you'll start with lithium concentrate as a revenue source so that you don't have to keep going back to market, get that revenue coming in, and then you can increase the value chain further down the track? Is that right?
Correct. And we can develop our next door project, which is Candelas, that we even haven't talked about.
Look, can we talk, because we don't have a lot of time left. Can we talk briefly about Candelas and what you're doing there at the Candelaria? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Candelas is our second project at Hombre Muerto. We did a study. We can produce up to 14,000 tons a year, 20 years mine life, and we need to do a DFS. As soon as we finish Hombre Muerto West DFS, we're moving into Candelas to do the DFS. So the combined profile for both projects at Hombre Muerto as a combination down the track in, let's say, 5 years plus, we could be producing 35,000 tons lithium carbonate equivalent. Can we increase that production? I'll say that given the results that we've seen at Hombre Muerto West today, the combined production profile is likely to increase. So, baby steps. We're walking before we run. As I mentioned, this is always a marathon for us, not a sprint. We're not glittering the project. We're not speculating with it. We're not proving technology that has not been 100% proven. You ask us, and that goes also on the hand of DLE. We're not going to DLE road because it's not proven in our view. The only hybrid solution is Livent, but it's hybrid. It's not 100% DLE because you're touching two things, power and water.
Yeah.
We're using the sun to advantage. The sun is for free. We know it works. And water, we need minimal amount of fresh water to process. There hasn't been a DLE process today that requires low water and low power. So we're happy to sit, wait, be proven wrong, but we're not taking the risk of bringing something online that it may not work. So
okay, all right. What's JP's strategy further down the track? Somebody like you mentioned, Rio Tinto is around in the area. There's a lot of I guess there's a lot of speculation that there's not enough lithium in the marketplace. Do you think that somebody's going to come along and snap you up before too long, especially with this announcement of the increase in the resource?
Well, it's a business, and that's always a possibility. We'll try to fend off as much as we can. If you give us a year, Galan will change a lot. We'll be potentially this time of the year, in a year time, we'll be in construction phase. So the value of the company will be significantly. So the answer is no, we don't want to sell because there's so much value to be added in such a short time. And we'll keep doing that even a year later because we keep on maturing the project. We, why to sell it when I know that the prices keep going up? Lithium prices will keep on increasing. It's
why do you say that, JP? Why do you say that lithium prices will still keep going up? I'd like the macro view from you before we wrap this all up.
Sure, the macro view, in my view, is that there's still not enough lithium, and even in the next 3 years, the market will be tight, despite what everyone else is saying that it could go down. Yes, markets fluctuate, but the trend keeps going up, and they keep going up probably to $100,000 a ton. May go down below that number. Absolutely. I mean, the markets are always fluctuating. But look, it's anything. We've done a study on $18,500 a ton. So it's printing money, in other words, with the current prices. And whether it's 70 or 80 or 100 or even down to 50, it's massive. So we want to get to market, get the cash flow, and mature, and be in an environment that we like to think that we can develop our projects, have enough cash, develop everything that we need to do, and then think of why not thinking of giving a dividends to our shareholders if this continues the way it's going. So it's once in a lifetime that we see these sort of changes, transition that, in my view, happened 100 years ago when the horses got retired from the road for the for a combustion engine vehicle. So it's we're trying to get to market as soon as we can, but not forgetting that we need to walk before we run. Everyone's promising a lot of lithium production. It's not easy. We've got a very good team. I have to say the three strong things about Galan is not only is massive resource that we have today. We're an elephant in an elephant country. The next thing for us is people. We got a fantastic team, people that work in the lithium industry for a number of years. I joke around that we have the XQM team because a lot of people from SQM that is working for us, and they've got experience, and I believe that we can get this online on a simple strategy to produce lithium chloride concentrate. And lastly, we can execute on these studies, and we'll have enough to trying to think of even early works if required. So I think that we're in a very, very well placed to face the next 18 months with no problems.
JP, it's an extraordinary story, and I guess some 5 years when you gave up your job and said, I know that there's lithium here and I'm going to make sure this works. What a great amount of courage it took to do that, but what a long way you've come. And as you just said, you've still got a long way to go, but you're doing it methodically and you've got a great team in place. So we look forward to the DFS coming out, and we also look forward to news along the way. So make sure you come back and chat to us again soon. But for now, JP, thanks so much for joining us on Small Caps today.
Thanks very much, Kerry.